The sword of God and Gideon!
Gideon, the movie.
The Midianites are coming! Move forward! Run! Help us! They are killing us! Move forward! Destroy all the fields mercilessly! Death to the weak!
Run, please! They are taking everything from us.
Go!
Go faster!
Don't let anyone stop!
They have taken everything from us. Return here. Quick, put it there.
Be careful. I believe I hear something. Silence.
Silence.
The sons of Israel did what was evil in the sight of God, and God delivered them into the hands of Midian for 7 years.
God is with you, you mighty and courageous man. Oh, my Lord.
If God is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are all his wonders that our fathers told us about, saying, "Did he not bring us up from Egypt? And now the Lord has abandoned us, and he has given us into the hand of the Midianites."
Go with your strength, and you will save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent you?
Oh, my Lord, how will I save Israel? My family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house.
Surely I will be with you, and you shall defeat the Midianites as one man.
Please, if I have found grace in your sight, give me a sign that you have spoken with me.
Please wait a moment.
I must bring you an offering before we continue.
Take the meat and the unleavened bread, and put it on this rock, and pour the broth.
Lord God,
I have seen God's angel.
Peace to you. Have no fear. You will not die.
this altar is called. God is peace.
And Gideon built an altar there to the Lord and named it Jehovah Shalom.
Be careful, they are near.
Silence! They will hear us! Listen, they are coming. Silence. We attack Israel at dawn. We must take the harvest, and we shall kill anyone who stands in our path.
Take the bull from your father, the 7-year-old bull. Tear down your father's Baal altar, and cut down the Asherah image that is next to it. And build an altar to the Lord your God on the top of this rock in a proper place. And taking the second bull, sacrifice it as a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah pole that you have cut down.
Pull harder! Let it fall already! Quick! Go for the next one! Pull hard! Come on! Come on! Let it fall down now! morning? Need help with water?
Have a good day.
Sleeping was so nice.
Let's go get fresh water.
Look, look! But how is it possible? They haven't left a stone upon a stone. What is this mess? I do not know, but look at the altar. Is it new? This is the work of the invaders. Who dared? Open the gate! Open the International Alliance! Where were you last night when this happened? Someone here is responsible. Do not blame us without proof. We have also lost much. Where were you when this happened? You are the one who did it.
No, I did nothing. Be quiet. That is enough.
We must find the truth. Gideon, the son of Joash, did this thing.
Oh, look what he has done. This is unacceptable. Get out of here. Where is he? We demand answers. Move aside.
We are going to find him. He is right there.
Don't let him escape. We know you're there. Come out now. Open the door. Bring out your son so that he may die, because he has torn down the altar of Baal, and he has cut down the Asherah that was beside it.
Are you going to plead for Baal? Will you defend him? Whoever pleads for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him plead for himself against the one who tore down his altar.
From that day they called Gideon Jerub-Baal. Let Baal fight him, for he tore his altar. That name remains as a public mark of what happened. Gideon is more than the winepress man. Now he is the man who dared to touch the idol's altar.
Brothers, the trumpet has blown. Time to unite.
For tribe and land.
If you are to save Israel by my hand, as you have said,
I will put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor.
if dew is on the fleece, and everything else around remains dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand.
Gideon already obeyed. He was already named Jerub-Baal. He blew the trumpet and gathered people. But he is still at that point, where faith and fragility coexist. And that makes him human.
Quick, prepare the shields. They are coming from the south. Make sure the beasts are ready.
Do not let your anger burn against me if I speak one more time. I will test just once more with the fleece.
Let the fleece now be dry, and all the ground around it covered with dew. The people who are with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hand, so that Israel does not boast against me, saying, "My hand has saved me." Whoever is afraid and trembling, let him get up early and return from Mount Gilead.
I will leave.
I'll go too. I'm going.
I will leave.
I cannot stay. I will go too.
I'll go home.
Still too many people. If this feels like few, how can it still be too many?
Take them to the water, and there I will test them for you. Separate the men who drink the water by bringing it to their mouth with their hand, like one who laps quickly. And also set apart those who kneel and lower their heads directly to the water to drink.
Only 300 men lapped the water with their hands to their mouths. With these 300 men who lapped the water, I will save you. And I will deliver the Midianites into your hands. And let all the other people go, each to his place. With these 300, I will save the people.
And taking the provisions of the people in their hands and their trumpets, he sent all the Israelites each to his tent, and kept those 300 men. Get up and go down to the camp, because I have delivered it into your hands. And if you fear to go down with Purah your servant to the camp, and hear what they say, and then your hands will be strong.
Look, I had a dream. I saw a loaf of barley bread that rolled to the camp of Midian, and it reached the tent and struck it so that it fell down. This is nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has now delivered the Midianites and their whole camp into your hands.
Thanks, sir. My lord.
Rise up, for the Lord has given the camp of Midian into your very hands. Everyone take a horn, an empty pitcher, and a burning torch inside the pitcher. We shall not fight like the rest.
And if you are enjoying this film, you can support it by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, so we can keep bringing you more stories like this.
Look at me, and do as I do. Behold, when I arrive at the edge of the camp, you shall do as I do. I shall sound the trumpet, and all those who are with me.
And you shall then blow the trumpets around the entire camp,
And say, for God, and for Gideon.
The sword of God and Gideon!
And the 300 sounded the trumpets, and God turned every man's sword against his fellow in the camp.
To the Jordan.
Run! Let's go to Jordan! Run!
Descend to meet the Midianites, and seize the waters as far as Beth-bara and the Jordan.
And in the midst of the flight, the men of Israel captured 2 princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. Oreb was killed on a rock, and that place was named after him. And Zeb died at a winepress, because that night the fall of Midian could no longer be stopped. Then the men of Ephraim arrived.
What is this that you have done to us, not calling us when you went to war against Midian?
What you have done was greater than my deeds. God allowed you to capture and kill Oreb and Zeb, the princes of Midian. Compared to that, my work was nothing.
The men of Ephraim went to complain to Gideon, upset for not having been called from the start of the battle. And for a moment tension grew between them. But Gideon answered with humility, honoring them for what they had accomplished. And his words quieted the wrath of those men, because sometimes a wise reply can stop a conflict before it begins.
Pursue Zeba and Zalmunna. Don't let them escape.
Think they come in peace?
I don't know, brother. They appear to be many.
I ask that you give the people following me some pieces of bread, for they are weary. And I am pursuing Zeba and Zalmunna, kings of Midian.
Are the hands of Zeba and Zalmunna already in your hand? Why should we provide bread to your army?
Well, when God has delivered Zeba and Zalmunna into my hand, I will thresh your flesh with thorns and briars of the desert. Those who rejected us will see our victory. March, warriors, your thirst for justice is greater than your fatigue. Give, I pray, bread for my tired men. And what if Zeba and Zalmunna turn against us? We will not give our bread while those kings remain free. When I return in peace, I'll tear down this tower.
I have already located the kings. Zeba and Zalmunna are further ahead.
How much longer until dawn?
Not much.
I hope it brings peace. On your knees. Your defeat is total. Take them away. Behold Zeba and Zalmunna,
concerning whom you mocked me, saying,
are the hands of Zeba and Zalmunna now in your hand?
so that we should give bread to your tired men.
Gideon keeps his word. He chastises the elders of Succoth with desert thorns and briars.
You were afraid to help because Zeba and Zalmunna were still free. Look at them now.
Tear down the tower. Let the men of this city fall.
Where are the men whom you slew at Tabor?
They were your brothers. They looked like you.
My brothers were my mother's sons. As the Lord lives, had you spared their lives, I would not slay you. Rise up and kill them.
Rise up and kill us.
For as is the man, so is his strength.
The kings of Midian, who had sown violence and destruction, were now defeated. And that day, Gideon took their lives, for the fall of Midian had reached its end.
Be our ruler, you, and your son and grandson, for you have saved us from the hand of Midian.
I will not be lord over you, nor shall my son be lord over you. The Lord will rule over you. I have a request. Give me the earrings from the spoils. With this gold, make an ephod for God. Let it memorialize the victory God gave us.
And all Israel prostituted themselves after that ephod in that place. And it became a trap for Gideon and his household. As the years passed, Gideon saw his family grow. He had many sons and lived surrounded by his kin. Following the wars he had fought, the land had peace, and for a time, Israel lived in rest. And that man who one day was called while he was hiding wheat in fear was now remembered as the liberator of Israel. But the years kept advancing. The strength of youth was left behind, and Gideon aged until he finally died, an old man. And he was buried in the land of his fathers. But after his death, the people of Israel turned away again. They departed again from God and began to follow the Baals. And they forgot the God who had delivered them from their enemies. The story of Gideon leaves a deeply human teaching because it does not begin with a hero sure of himself, but with a man hiding. And that completely changes how we understand the work of God. Gideon doesn't appear like Samson with strength. He doesn't appear like David, known for bravery. He does not appear like Elijah, breaking in suddenly with fire. He appears threshing wheat in a winepress, hiding from Midian, trying to salvage some food in a land where fear had become the norm. And there is one of the first great lessons in his story. God does not always call those who appear great. Many times he calls those who are surviving, those who are exhausted, those who feel that their life became too small because of oppression. Because Midian hadn't just invaded the land, it had invaded the people's spirit. Israel no longer lived with dignity, but with fear. Some would sow and others would reap. They were working and others were consuming. They had land, but no rest. They had a promise, but no peace. And when a generation lives like this for too long, it begins to normalize humiliation. It begins to think small. It starts hiding what it ought to enjoy openly. That is why Gideon matters. There are many people today who are not living in fullness, but in survival mode. They are not completely destroyed, but they are reduced. They are not dead in spirit, but they are diminished by fear, by pressure, by anxiety, by years of exhaustion. And it is precisely there that God enters the scene. The angel of the Lord appears and tells him something that seems disproportionate. "The Lord is with you, you mighty and brave warrior." And there is one of the most confronting phrases in all of history, because Gideon did not feel that way. His visible reality did not match that declaration. He viewed himself as small, weak, and hiding, belonging to the poorest family in Manasseh, and being the youngest in his father's house. But God does not speak to him first from his current appearance, but from the purpose he already sees over him. And that is a tremendous lesson. Many times God sees in us something that we have not yet learned to believe. The problem is when the soul has been beaten down too much, the promise sounds unreal. So Gideon asks questions. If God is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are his wonders? Why are we oppressed? And let us be honest, that question is still alive today. Many people love God, but inside they carry exactly that cry. If God is with me, why am I going through this? Why so much wear? Why such pressure? Why such delay? Why such fear? Gideon's story respects that struggle. It does not show the man of faith as one who never questions. Instead, it shows that true faith often is born in the midst of sincere questions. Gideon was not rejected for asking. He was guided through his questions. God did not give him a long philosophical explanation. He gave him a mission. In other words, he did not resolve all his mental confusion at once, but he did show him the way to start coming out of it. There appears another great lesson. Before using Gideon to tear down Midian, God led him to confront what was twisted closer to home. The altar of Baal in his father's home had to fall first. And that is profoundly important, because often we want public victory without private purification. We want God to change big things, but not touch what's near. We want to defeat external enemies while we continue to tolerate internal altars. Gideon could not lead a national liberation while in his own environment, remained standing what caused the spiritual ruin of the people. That is why the first act of obedience was uncomfortable, personal, costly, and at night. Tearing down the altar of Baal was not a small symbolic gesture. It was a break with an already normalized idolatry. And that remains a strong word for today. There is no true freedom where one still protects what competes with God, in the heart or in the house. Then comes another powerful dimension of the story. Gideon needs confirmation, asks for signs, asks for tests, asks for the fleece to be wet and the ground dry, and then the opposite. Be careful not to oversimplify. Sometimes people talk about Gideon while mocking his need for security, as if all hesitation were pure carnality. But the text shows something more human and deeper. Gideon isn't playing with God. He is fighting to affirm himself in a calling too large for his feeling of insufficiency. And that connects a lot with the current reality. There are people who do want to obey, but are full of fear. Not because they don't love God, but feel weak. Gideon teaches us that God can be patient with a trembling heart, as long as that heart keeps turning to Him instead of fleeing. But perhaps the greatest lesson of the whole story appears when God starts to reduce the army. First many, then fewer, then barely 300. Humanly, that makes no sense. If the enemy is immense, one expects reinforcement, not reduction. But there is the center of the message. God was not going to allow Israel to confuse liberation with self-sufficiency. If they won with too much visible power, their hearts would say, "I saved myself." So God reduced the number until it was clear that the victory would come from above. That is also very relevant. Sometimes we think we need more resources, more support, more visibility, more control, more guarantees to be able to advance. And many times God allows the reduction, precisely so that we understand where true victory comes from. Not to humiliate us cruelly, but to purify our confidence. Gideon then leaves a central lesson. The most important battle did not begin against Midian, but against the fear, idolatry, broken self-image, and false confidence. Before defeating the enemy, God was shaping the man. And that continues to be one of the deepest ways in which God works today. He doesn't remove the oppressor first, but by rebuilding from within, the one who is going to face the oppressor. The most well-known part of Gideon is usually the most striking at first glance. 300 men, torches hidden in pitchers, trumpets in the night. The enemy camp falling into confusion and destroying itself. It is a powerful, cinematic, and unforgettable scene. But if you look deep, you discover that the greatest lesson is not just in how God gave the victory, but in what happened after. Because Gideon not only teaches how God raises up a fearful man to defeat a gigantic enemy, he teaches something uncomfortable. That a man can win on the outside and still, leaving behind cracks that will, in time, will bring painful consequences. First is the truth of the 300. God reduced the army not only to display His power, but to remove from the heart of the people the illusion of self-reliance. An eternal lesson. We often believe that if we had more strength, more resources, more people, more structure, then we could prevail. But Gideon's story shatters that human logic. God does not need abundance to work. He needs a heart that knows how to recognize that the glory belongs to Him. There is something profound here for life. At times, the Lord lets a person face seasons with less than they had hoped for. Not because He left them, but because He wants them to learn to rely on Him in a purer way. Scarcity, small numbers, and feeling insufficient are not always signs of defeat. Many times they are the stage where God is purifying trust. However, the story of Gideon does not end with that victory. And that detail is fundamental. because many people know how to fight a great battle, but do not know how to guard their heart after winning. After the victory, the people wanted to offer Gideon something that appears noble, but was actually dangerous. They asked him to rule over them, both he and his son, because he had delivered them from the hand of Midian. And Gideon responded well with his mouth. He said that he would not reign over them, nor would his son, for the Lord would be their king. That response is beautiful and correct. It is theologically sound. Spiritually, it sounds pure. But history forces us to go deeper, because what a man says and what he later builds with his actions do not always coincide completely. After rejecting the throne, Gideon asked for the gold earrings from the spoils. He made an ephod with that gold. The issue is not only the object itself, but what followed. That ephod was set up in his city of Ophrah, and all Israel went astray after it. That became a stumbling block for Gideon and his house. That is one of the most serious turns in his entire story. The man who had torn down an altar of Baal at the beginning of his story ends up building something that becomes a source of deviation. It is not said that Gideon wanted to openly replace God. In fact, the tragedy appears even more subtle. Perhaps he wanted to leave a memorial, a symbol, a piece associated with the Lord's work. But what he constructed ended up turning the people's hearts away. And that is a very harsh warning. Not everything that arises following a spiritual victory is necessarily healthy. At times, a man genuinely used by God starts well, and then introduces something that, while not appearing scandalous at first, ends up damaging entire generations. That relates deeply to real life. Because there are those who conquer a great crisis, a great temptation, a great enemy, a great stage of humiliation, and after the win, they let their guard down. They think the biggest danger is past, when in truth, the greatest danger often starts after the victory. Before, one relied more, prayed more, feared more, and watched more. But after success, after recognition, after the visible restoration, the soul can relax in a dangerous way. Gideon shows that fighting well isn't enough. You must also finish well. It is not enough to destroy an altar in one season if you later raise another, more elegant, more subtle, and more acceptable, but still dangerous. There is a strong spiritual dimension here. Gideon went from being a hidden, insecure man, diminished by fear, to becoming a national deliverer. That is a huge change. And changes like that, if they are not processed with depth before God, can leave ambiguous areas in the heart. A person may have been sincerely humble in the process of the battle, but then begin to build an identity around their experience that is too self-centered, focused on their name and their sign, on their memory, on their influence. Gideon didn't take the crown, but he did leave a powerful object in his city. And although he said with his mouth, "The Lord will be your master," his legacy remained mingled with something that ended up competing with the purity of that statement. Another powerful aspect of Gideon's end is what occurs after he dies. While he was alive, the land had rest for 40 years, but upon his death, Israel quickly turned back to the Baals and forgot the Lord. That teaches something important. It is not enough to have a temporary liberation if the people's heart is not truly transformed. A generation can experience rest, victory, and relief, and still relapse without spiritual memory, faithfulness, and reverence. This happens today. There are people who only seek to get out of the problem, but not deep transformation. They want relief, not root. They want rescue, not formation. When external pressure fades, what the heart really loves comes back out. That is why Gideon leaves such a complex and nutritious message. It is not just God uses the weak, although that is true. It is not just with 301 can defeat a multitude. although that is also true. It is more complete. Gideon teaches that God can call a hidden man, affirm him in the midst of fear, tear down his idols, use him with power, give him an impossible victory, and turn him into an instrument of liberation. But it also teaches that after that, that same man must continue to watch his heart, because initial weakness does not provide immunity against the errors of the end. The danger does not vanish once one has been used by God. Sometimes it simply changes form. That is the final message for today. Don't despise your fearful days, for God can call you there. Do not think that you need to feel giant to obey, for God has made history with men hidden in wine presses. But do not think that yesterday's victory guarantees your faithfulness tomorrow. Spiritual life demands continuous dependence. Today, just as when you were hidden. Today, like when you went to fight. Today, just as when you won. Today, too. Gideon leaves a powerful, sober truth. God can do immense things with an insecure life that surrenders to Him. But that very same life, if it ceases to watch over its heart, can become a stumbling block after having been an instrument. So the goal is not just winning. The goal is to remain faithful, because a big victory impresses people. But only a life that is guarded truly honors God to the very end. If this story moved you, please like to support this content. Subscribe so you do not miss out on future episodes and biblical tales told like never before. Share it with someone who needs to know this story. And leave a comment. I want to know your thoughts.